Alright guys, and welcome back. So we're just gonna film a little bit about what we're doing here. Hopefully I'm not gonna be here, I don't think, the whole job, but I'm just showing you guys how to condition the house now. And then yeah, we're gonna spray this out. Beautiful area, Glendora, expensive area. And gonna get rid of that faded out stucco and masking the windows right now. Doors are gonna get painted. They don't like the oak, so they're going to like a dark brown. And the back here, let's take a look. You've got pretty good sized house, and fascia boards are peeling. Those are going to get primed, and then after they're primed, we're going to use caulking and smooth that down. That's the best way to handle that. The wood's kind of shot. Got to cover all these solar stuff. Cannot paint those stickers. Got to cover those up, cover that up. You have to replace those every once in a while. People do. Now look at the size of this patio. That's 70 feet probably. Let's see. That's probably 10, 20, 30, 40. Maybe it's only 50 feet. A couple more feet on the ends. Yeah. Pretty good sized patio cover. All covered. And it's got gables above it, I believe. Yeah, gables above it. Pretty good sized job. So it's a small house, but a lot of detail. Customer wants these taken off and paint behind them because there's a gap in there. You can see they want them taken off, painted behind there. Some stuff like that. Yeah, they're kind of particular, but it's all right. Okay, that's what we're dealing with. I'll bring you back in a little bit more. Well, one thing I wanted to add, guys, is the fireplace is getting painted. So if you see me blowing overspray on it, that's why. It's getting painted. They want it painted. So if you see that, that's what's going on there. Guys, if you see me overspray the doors, that's because we're painting them. So I don't want to hear those comments. Oh, you oversprayed the doors. You're not listening if that's you. Alright guys, so anyway, I'm spraying. If you notice, I'm at 90 degrees of the wall. I try to stay that way the whole time. I do not let my gun whip around. You know I'm going up and down. And the video,
we're hitting the fireplace, right?
The video doesn't really give it justice as far as that goes. It's very hard to see that I am staying very, very straight at the wall. So it almost looks like from the camera angle that I am going upward, but I'm really not. It's very, very, very small amount if I am. And sometimes I do angle into corners because I want the directions of the stucco that direction painted better. And then you'll notice that I'll go back and hit them the other angle.
I'm just gonna get a little start over here.
Very, very subtle amounts of angling to the wall. You should always try and stay at 90 degrees. And the reason that is because it just bounces off the wall, and you'll end up with overspray everywhere by doing that. So yeah, you need to really be concentrating at being straight at the wall all the time, and watch that edge. When you go to the edge, you shouldn't be whipping, and you do your turnarounds really fast the way that I'm doing there. And what that does is that lowers the amount of overspray that you're getting on the ground. And I noticed I did miss a little spot there. Went back and got it. So anyway, just relaxing, going through and spraying. And listen, a lot of guys will go and just really do a lot more time spending on spraying.
Come back and do that.
And they'll sit there and try and go over the wall back and forth a bunch of different times and make sure they don't get any misses. And the best way to handle that is to just go through, spray your coat on, whatever it is, not liking this tip very much. I'm using a Reversa, and if you notice, it spits a little bit every once in a while. I don't have that issue with my flat tips, but I was using someone else's setup on this. So anyway, you can do a good job with the Reversa tip, but you do get that little bit of extra overspray from it. Definitely, I'm noticing a little bit more overspray from the Reversa tip than I do with the flat tip. It's small amount, but it is there. And same thing with a pole gun. When you use a Reversa tip and a pole gun, then you even get more overspray. And of course, there is nothing, not a speck of paint on that air conditioner, not at all. And I'm spraying something, that little splashing there. It's kind of difficult to contain all your overspray with that, and I'm still able to do it. So anyway, people are going to say, oh, there's overspray all over that air conditioner. No, there is absolutely nothing. I go back and check. And even the sprinklers, when I get to the end, the little sprinkler valves, one of the things I can't stand is when guys get overspray all over the sprinkler valves. You know, that's just like kind of gross, you know. I don't do that. So I watch all that stuff. You know, every once in a while you make a mistake or whatever, but most of the time, no. I just stay right on it. And it's easier for me to make mistakes with that tip. So that Reversa tip does cost you. You know, one thing it costs you is a lot more money to buy it. You're paying all that $30 or whatever they are, $27, and I don't know, the Graco ones are probably 40 now. I don't know. They keep on going up in price. And go over, and I'm noticing my pressure. I think it was a little bit too high or too low. And I make those small adjustments to get it really tight. I want to be just to that point where I'm putting paint on the wall and nothing is bouncing back at me. And there's no fingers through the middle of the spray. You're going to get your fan edges. You're always going to have that, especially when you're using this was a brand new Reversa tip for the first 2 or 3 hours. You can notice that there's those little tails at the end of the fan, and that's normal. And those usually will not show unless you're too close to the wall, and especially on a stucco wall, it definitely won't show there. And if you're way too close to it, if you're painting an interior and you're way too close to the wall, you might have those things show up. And I've had guys turn the pressure up, turn the pressure up, turn the pressure, and then tiger stripe from turning the pressure up too much. If the pressure's too high, you put on a heavy, it actually will put on the paint too heavy, and that will make a tiger stripe in your job when you're all done. So there's just a balancing act, you know, there that you have to figure out, and it takes time. You're not going to learn how to spray like I do. Like a lot of guys go, hey, you know what? I can learn how to spray like you do after a week. You're not going to. You're just not going to do that. You know, it took me, you know, about 5 years, usually is what it takes, to really learn how to spray really good. It's going to take 5 years of just doing it all the time and focusing on what the stuff that I'm telling you in this video, which is shoot straight at the wall. You know, I've watched guys that have been painting for 20 years and they still never learned how to shoot straight at the wall, and they whip their gun and they think they have to do that. So they never really learned how to spray. They've been spraying for 15 years and never really learned how to do it the proper way, and they have to cover everything. So this is all stuff, you know, it's shooting straight at the wall, having the proper tip size, knowing when. This is a 517. You guys have watched me spray with a 515 before. This is a little bit faster. I just had a 517. We didn't have a 515. I liked using a 515 with some of the stuff we use today. I don't like to put on gobs of material. Like before, I used to I didn't care. Paint was super cheap, and I just use a 619. Okay, I'd use a 619 for this house, no problem. And I just put it on nice and heavy, and you know, but I might put 2 extra gallons on. Well, those 2 extra gallons,
I can get that
and I was at
afterwards.
Home Depot, and I couldn't believe their cheapest flat paint, the Bear 10-year or whatever, I think that's the cheapest one, was $36 a gallon. You know, that's just insane. You guys comment about that. So yeah, people will go, oh hey, you know, well paint back in the 90s went up a lot, you know, and they say, well, this is just normal. We've got inflation. You know, absolutely not true, you guys. From 1990 to 2000.
No, I haven't hit the bottom yet.
Paint went up about 30% during that same time period. I'm showing you guys.
I haven't hit the bottom yet. We got to get somebody back here and scrape and move some rocks.
That's why I'm wiping up my hand to show you there's nothing there to wipe off.
I didn't do the bottom. I'm just kind of
but
getting what I can get, and then come back and get more.
You know, back then it went up about 30% during that 10-year period.
Get him a wire brush
and you know, that's normal. Okay, in a 10-year period.
Get that all pulled
back. We've
had
130%
because this color is way different
in a 15-year period. That is a problem.
I gotta put white trim next to this, huh?
And a lot of people just go, well, it's no big deal. You know, you just charge
your
customer
much
more.
contrast.
You know, hey. So this house back in the 90s, or in the 2000s, early 2000s, they probably charged
real subtle.
$500 for it. And now, that would mean I need to charge. So if we
too light of a color to get
in price,
true so three-color contrast,
tripled in price, I'd need to charge about $8,000 for this house. If I went in there and told them $8,000 for this house, they would just.
I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean.
So yeah, we're not able to get our labor money to cover the extra money cost and materials. It's just not right.
It'll be all right.
You know,
it's just going to be
basically we need to.
I think that's kind of what they're looking for, that new.
Look at what the cost of living is now. You know, I mean,
I think it'll work.
It just exists. I think you need like about $6,000 a month per household. You know, that's just nuts. It's never been this way ever. And let's hope that things change, get better. You know, we've got to correct this whole thing. We're not going to, people think, oh, well, the inflation's all going to stop. Well, you know, it may stop going up, but prices are not going to come down. We're not going to have a deflationary period. It's going to take growth to get us out of this. And I believe we have the people in charge right now that are going to create growth. Okay. And I believe that the other people that were potentially going to be elected would have continued this decline, and we could not continue this, guys. I think you guys can agree on that. This was a road into a bad place for every trade, and it's happening all over, but more here in California because we've got the really smart people that think they know more than everyone, and they're just smart, so we should just listen to them, right?
I like it.
So yeah, there's that problem here. We have the geniuses of this state, you know, that continue to do the same things over and over, like raise minimum wage.
$600-700.
Raise the minimum wage because those poor people need more money, and all that happens is inflation. All the products that you buy require lower wages, and you know what happens? The painter gets screwed. Okay, the painter. So that's why so many painters, construction workers, and all that have left California. So yeah, that's been happening. So it's kind of frustrating. You know, when you grew up and were born here and you see all this stuff happen, and you know, you've had a trades business here for years, you don't really want to move. All your competition has moved out of the state.
Ring camera in the way there.
Frustrating. You know, but again, you know, there's no competition, but it's, you know, people go, well, there's less competition, you can charge a higher price. To who? You know, the poor guy who can't afford to buy a roof for his house in LA, you know, go around, look at LA. They've got these new Title 24 rules for roof. They've done this, you know, for a few years now. And the roofing costs have gone up 3-4 times what they were because of this new energy efficient roof that you need to buy. And the poor people all have tarps on their roofs. There's tarps everywhere, all over. Go to LA. You won't believe it. There's tarps on in the winter. There's tarps on roofs all over the place. Guys got plastic all over their roofs. It looks great, by the way. It looks so nice. You know, nice big blue tarp all over the roof. Because the government didn't, you know, has this agenda that they're trying to push. And you know, the paint trade's gotten screwed. Our paint prices have gone way up. The chemical prices have went up. You know, got to have a California formula for paint. You know, the lower VOC, 50 VOC. It doesn't last as long as the other 100 VOC stuff was. All this stuff is costing you, the consumer, money. And then you wonder, why is your paint job so expensive? Well, it was the little box on the ballots you elected that made it that way. So, anyway, that's my frustration. We'll get back to spraying here in a second. So anyway, yeah, cross spraying, I didn't really need to, even though it's a good size color change. I was able to cover that pretty well without doing the cross spray because it's not that much of a heavy texture. Most of the house was, it's weird, it only had this Spanish style in the front. And like I said, this is a really light Spanish, so you could have done this easily with just spraying straight at it and not cross spraying. And then like I said, when you get done, where guys go wrong is, like I said, they'll go through and spray out a wall, and go back and, oh look, I missed a little spot. Go back and walk their line over, put the ladder up there, go over and retouch that area. Listen, just go and spray it, and when you get all done, take your paint, take it like cut it 25% or so. You can either get a Slim Jim roller or a brush. I go around and touch up. Do their touch up all at once. You know, get one guy and spend an hour walking around with a brush and roller. It's faster than you dragging your line around. You know, get all the house painted first. Like there's little holes and stuff like that. I'm just painting over them. And we're gonna go back with a brush and, you know, fix them. Just look at the wall, get a little caulking, a little bit of stucco patch, and just touch it up. Okay? And you guys will go and they'll spend hours and hours on prep. Okay, they'll spend, I call this over prep. When you go and you spend all this extra time prepping your house over and over and over. Okay, and go through and do a mini prep, do all your preps, run through, you know, find the holes you can find that stand out, do all that little stuff, and then go and start painting. And then what you do is after you're done, while you're painting, you go, oh, there's a couple more holes here, you kind of mark them in your mind where they were, and when you go to do your touch-up, it's easier to catch it on a touch-up basis. Again, you can look at that fan edge, and you can see that finger, and when you're done, when I'm all done and it's dry, you cannot see any of that. So guys worry about that. They start turning up the pressure too high, trying to blow out that whole fan, trying to get rid of all that, and you don't really need to. It's not going to show up. Not unless you've got your pressure way too low and you've got fingers all the way through your fan. That's when you have a problem there, guys, and that's when you need to turn up the pressure a little more. Guys, a lot of guys way over pressure. A lot of guys do, and then they wonder, why do I have so much overspray and dust? Well, dust is not fun either, because if you got too much dust and then you go hose it off or something like that, the dust might re-wet itself and then you've got paint. So, you know, it's better to try and keep all that down to a minimum. And I think this whole area, we ended up covering this whole area when we did ceilings because of the fallout from that. When you're doing ceilings, and we had to do 2 coats on the eaves, you've got to really watch, you know, where that fallout's coming. It can be dust, it can be overspray, either way, and it can cause issues for you. So, gotta control all that stuff, guys. Keep it all contained. So after we covered up with good brick and everything when we did that, probably wouldn't even show up on there anyway because it's a brick look. So yeah, just spray it out, blow some paint on there, get done, get your brush out when you're doing your touch-up. Personally, what I'll do on something like this is I'll use a cardboard shield and do the eaves, okay? We didn't do it that way, we went ahead and masked them. but I'll use a cardboard shield and move, and then at the same time, while I'm going around, after I use the cardboard shield, you get a little bit of a rough edge between your wall color and your eave. You get a little bit of blowout from underneath the cardboard shield. You get good at it. You can get it really close, and you want it to blow out just a little bit, okay, so that you get the proper edge covered. If you have the shield too tight, sometimes it'll actually you won't get the wood all painted. I don't know how to explain that, but so I'll back the shield off just a hair, and then you get better at that stuff, okay? And what I'll do is I use cardboard shield, and in some corners, like up there in the corner up in the top, I just let it hit the stucco, and then I'll just go around while I'm doing my touch-up, okay, checking my walls, making sure I get all the voids, all the when I miss angles. Sometimes you'll miss the angle, and sometimes you notice if I'm not cross spraying, I'm gonna miss some stuff. Go around with a brush, touch all that stuff up. At the same time, while I'm doing that, I will go up on the ladder and tighten up the stucco to the eave. Okay, that's normally how I will do it, and I won't mask it. So that masking costs, God, it's probably over $100 now for just the masking to go between the eave and the stucco is over $100. And the thing is if you're a painter, you can go up there and do the brush touch in about the same amount of time that it took you to mask it. Okay, you go up there and you touch up with the brush. It takes time-wise about the same amount of time. Okay, as doing all the masking. Okay, so now you just saved yourself $100 on your job, and you have more money for profit. So that's the way that I've always done it for years. My friend taught me that years ago. No masking, and then so I won't, like the base of that, I would just cover all the shields, the base. And
you only get, is that, this underneath the back patio, because
where you've missed, okay, and then you just go back with your brush at the bottom of the wall and at the top, whatever you've missed, you go through and touch it up.
I got more than enough for stucco then.
Pulling down the lights is kind of nice. I didn't used to do that either. I would just cover them real quick.
Prime it.
And go back and just go with a brush. And you can
it'll cover this.
Twist the lights around.
Good. That's actually a good primer.
They like to do it that way. They pull them all down.
All with this first,
it's a little easier, and in this case, they're replacing all the lights.
Cut it a little bit more, and then
the customer
cover up really good.
So that
use it as
kind of is nice to do. New lights at the same time when you paint. They're new, younger people, really nice family on the house, just nice people. So I'm going to move on. There's going to be some tutorial coming up here. I noticed at this point in the video, I'm just going to, I had a little short that I made, and I'm going to add that to this footage so that you guys can see some technique involved with this and what not to do and how the right way to spray is. So anyway, I'll bring you guys back in. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of this for a little bit and bring you back in as we paint the rest of the house. Hey, it's actually a little further up, so I'll just give you guys a little more chat here. Yeah, I'm just going ahead and let it hit the wood, and the door, that's all getting painted, so otherwise I would cover all that. So yeah, I don't know, I really don't like to paint wood like that. I don't think they really understand how much those doors cost. And those doors are, I mean, years ago, I mean the 90s, a door set like that was about, they were about $5,000, so I had no idea. What are they, 10 grand now? I really don't know, because stuff has gone up so much. For those style doors, it's a solid oak door. It's not, veneered or anything like that. So, and yeah, it's oak or whatever, but personally, I won't ever paint wood, for me. But the customer wants it done, that's fine. They can do whatever they want to do. Like my wife says, "Oh, paint the doors. I don't like them because of wood." It's like, those are, I'm not gonna be able to replace it. We're not gonna be able to go, "Oh, well, oak came back in, so it's not in anymore." It comes back in at some day. So you know, you're not going to go, oh yeah, let's strip it and stain it again. It's over once you paint it. So it's I would use just a dark stain and go over them with that myself, but just use the gel stain. Those work good to go over doors. But it's more expensive. You know, you tell somebody, okay, well, you know, it's $400 for me to go ahead and try and paint the doors, or it's $800 for me to stain them, and they just look at you and go, oh, I think I'll just have them painted, and you know, not knowing that that's a very, very expensive door to replace. You know, if you ever had to replace it, you're going to go down and you go, oh, you just get new doors, go to Home Depot, and find out, oh my goodness, so much money. Stuff is really so expensive. I can't believe how much it costs for building materials right now. It's still very expensive. Paint, all that stuff's gone way up. Just can't believe it, guys. Never seen this kind of stuff in my lifetime. Never. I remember buying Kelly Moore back when they were in business. Now they're gone. I remember buying them $12.40 for $8 a gallon, and then you know it was about 10. Well, Kelly Moore went out of got out of Southern California, and they started closing their stores down here. Then now they've closed all their stores in Northern California because of lawsuits from asbestos that happened. I mean, many years ago. And people, you know, the people are like, oh, well, that big company needs to pay, you know, put all those employees out of a job is what happened. The company just folded. They couldn't pay people millions of dollars, you know. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave it here and let you guys watch the rest of it. We'll summarize a little bit more of what we did later. We're testing another rig we got for free to try out. It actually works pretty good for a cheap little rig. I mean, how many times have you ever seen a spray rig for $150 that works? That thing worked actually pretty good. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later. Boring. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go over the other. Oh, I'll do this bottom first. Knock this out. Have this whole side. All right, you see these here, the top and the bottom. Some guys call those tails. I call them fan edges. If you're painting really too close, they might show up. But if you're painting the proper distance, which is about this far away, especially if you have to cross spray and you're putting it on heavy enough, those will not show up on flat walls, especially on stucco. They might show up on the ceiling, and the best thing to do if you have a ceiling like that is to be further away. And that's about 18 inches away, and then that won't show up. Just little tricks like that, I can tell you. This is not how you spray. Watch my wrist. This is how you spray. "90 degrees at the wall all the time. Never let it get like that. Spray straight at the wall. You want to stop getting overspray all over your bushes? That's how you do it. All right, guys. I don't know how long it's going to last, but we got 50 feet of hose on here, and it works better. Longer hose can give you like a reserve in your, you have a little bit of reserve pressure so it doesn't fluctuate as much. And spraying ease right now with it. We put a different gun on there, I think. Is it the same gun?
Same gun.
Oh, he's using the same gun. Just to show. Look at this thing. I mean, it's just ripping through ease. You can tell it's thick paint because look at it, you know, it's covering so good. So yeah, it's a little Viva rig. What size tip is that? A 313, but it's blown out. Blown out 313. It's just like a 315 about. I'm trying to blow out mine. I got a 313. It's brand new and it's just too much. Too much for this flat paint straight out of the can. Not enough tip size, so I don't know. It's just kind of neat. Let's talk about this a little bit here. So we're just painting this house here. The thing I like about this thing is the size of it. I mean, it's just tiny and it's mean, man. The thing puts out some pressure and material volume. Like I said, I don't know how long it lasts, but I think they're $151. I looked up. I thought it was $115, so on my last video. $151. Okay. You got to work out of a deuce because the hose is too short. Even the gun that's on it works fine, but you know, we just added. So I'll put a link in the description for the longer piece of hose. I would say that, I mean, you could connect those two together too if you wanted, or just use it like that for like painting garage doors. That's what we're gonna do. Because then you don't have as much line to roll up. So that's why we wanted that short line. But it's kind of quiet too. It works really good. It's got plenty of power. We're using Vista's Acrobon. Straight out of the can, 100% acrylic flat. I mean, it might struggle a little bit with some primers, you know, the real thick primers. It might struggle with that, but I don't know. It seems to work pretty good. That's 50 feet of line. Look at, sprayed those eaves. Oh, I missed a spot. Ah, that happens. Anyway, we're doing them twice anyways, so yeah. Running through them a couple times. It's real dark brown on here. Going to white from dark brown. There's my eaves I'm doing up there, so. Anyway, we're still working on the house. yeah, I'll throw this footage in there, what we're doing on the house too. So this may be in 2 different videos, guys, this little section of video. But we're painting this single story house, you know, kind of a light contrast in color, but yeah, they wanted to use white instead of, and we're going to do the fascia board brown, so I don't know how it's going to work out, but we will see. Alright, I'll talk to you guys a little bit later in the video, or you can watch this one and this will be it. So yeah, 50 feet of line on that rig works amazing. So, I mean, God, a contractor could even buy like a bucket load of those things and just have two on you, and if it got stolen out of your truck, you just, you know, laugh. You know what I mean? You know, get 2 of those and, you know, throw one behind the seat. It's that small. You can probably get it behind your seat. And then, you know, you got a spare. You know, blow it up. Throw it away. Get another one. Shoot, kind of cool. Talk to you in the next video. Well, we got to, I don't know, 4 gallons in this thing. Just runs, no problem. Still spraying with it up there, using the 4-finger gun and everything. Okay with it. Keeps going. So we shot the eaves twice. Of course, you can still see all the cracks, and the nails are popping through like the roofer shinered. A lot of shiners, man. So anyway, it's under the eaves, you know. So anyway, we'll get back into, got everything covered up just in case of stuff. I don't really like using reversa tips. Like, if you gotta switch it too much, that thing starts to leak and drip and all that. You know, they're a joke. A flat tip, you just put it on. You got one issue is it can plug up, and that's it. You just bang it on the ground, knock it on the ground, and it clears up. But I don't have any here, so I'm just working with what they got. So anyway, helping them out. I'm doing some of the back patio back here. Yeah, look at that though. It doesn't cover. That's, you know, a light coat. Put on a little heavier over here, and it's still not really covering very good. So I'll have to go over it twice probably. Yep. All right.